Welcome, everybody, to the first of what I hope are several speed readings 2026. And we're starting it as Mercury is sliding into retrograde and as Saturn and Neptune are getting ready to kiss right on the lips and all kinds of big stuff going on in the world right now and in the sky. So this is going to be great. It's going to be amazing. We have three wonderful folks who jumped on it. I think we were sold out in about 7 or 8 minutes. And so they were hammering the website on the morning that we did. Jamie Schultz is with us, and then Jackie and Liz. So we are just so thrilled to have all of you. And we're going to jump right in. Basically, the way that we do this is we set a timer for, it's going to be 25 minutes. You'll hear it go off. I'll probably jump in about 10 minutes to go, and then we'll give some countdowns. And then we'll wrap up and we set the clock again and go to the next person. And obviously, no strangers to the podcast, Kristen, who has been my right arm during the weekdays now for the past year and a little bit. And then Elisa Dixon, who is just knocking the cover off the ball on Sundays. And Dr. Rita Louise, who is somebody that I've worked with on some personal stuff about 10 years ago. She told me what was going on with my heart before the doctors knew. So, I mean, we are in very good hands with everybody here tonight. We're going to roll right in. We're going to go in the order that you see from left to right. That's how they signed up. And we're going to start with Jamie. So if you guys are ready, we are going to kick this off. Let me get Jamie's questions up, and we'll look at these, and then we will start the clock. Wow. And by the way, those of you watching, if you would like to comment, you can go ahead and drop a comment in. However, we are going to keep this, the business at hand is to give these folks some really good readings. So we'll weave it in if we can, if you have questions or anything, and we'll try to work that in if it fits. Okay? Good deal. So Jamie first is interested in understanding the core themes and lessons of her chart related to Pluto in Aquarius, which is in her 6th house. And she is using, I think, Jamie, you're using whole sign, right?
Yes.
So we use equal. So we've got a little,
yes.
Yeah, see, we've got a little dance going on here. And this is going to be interesting because the charts are in equal. But I've always, and I mean, it's in the 101 course, we're the ones that put the lines there. So we're going to dance in between equal and whole sign on this. So just that's where you're going to see something different there, and that's why.
Yes, so, and I also do that too.
Good, yeah.
It's
fine. You get I think a more full understanding of things if you just broaden out a little bit. That's true in anything. So 6th house, and that's trying to Uranus and Gemini in her 10th. The energy feels karmic to me, and I'd love insight into how I can consciously work with the transit in a way that's aligned with my soul's evolution. Then she said, what might some lower vibration expressions of this look like so she can be more aware of patterns and choices that will pull her off track? That's a really good point, too. Do you have any insights for July? A lot of people have their eyes on July. There's conversation about it now. How will that impact me? And is there anything else in the chart that stands out as particularly important, just that we'd like to talk about? So let's take a look at her chart. And what we've done here is put on each of these where the Great Pyramid, as we've been calling it on the podcast, is. So Pluto is over here, Saturn and Neptune here, and Uranus over here. And we went ahead and put Jupiter in, even though it's still in retrograde until March 10th. That's where those are positioned. So if we were to kind of make a pyramid out of this, it would look this way, and that's where it is in Jamie's chart. So I'm going to kind of sit back here and be the video guy with the switches and the buttons, and who would like to start off to take on Jamie's question, particularly about, she started asking about Pluto, which she had in whole sign in the 6th, but in equal it's in the 5th.
I can.
Go ahead. I'm going to start the timer.
All right. So, Jamie, it's Elisa.
Hi.
Hi. So I have some ideas, but I was curious, is there anything, especially because you said 6'10", and obviously we're looking at 5'9", is there anything in particular that you think this transit is about for you?
No, that
Okay,
I had
okay.
in mind.
Okay, no worries. Well, so the thing about a trine is that it's typically very positive flowing energy. And with the outer planets, it's going to be feeling very, very internal and very, very deep for you, especially since it's Pluto. So, with it being the way we're reading it now with the equal house, in the fifth house, this has to do with, creative self expression. In the ninth house, it has to do with beliefs, the higher mind, beliefs, expansion, etc. But in the sixth house and the 10th house, which is your original question, that's day-to-day habits, routines, your work, and your career, your how you're seen out in the world. So I'm just curious if any of that is kind of ringing true for you. Is there anything that maybe on a deep level you're ready to shift and make some changes, especially since you said it's feeling kind of karmic? Um, I'm just curious if any of the things I said so far is starting to
I
jog
mean,
anything.
I guess I've started, because I don't even know if it's more spiritual, but I've been going deeper with spirituality. So, I mean, that kind of would make sense for the ninth, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah,
I
That's why
guess.
totally.
we love equal.
Yeah, and I've usually go back and forth often, but I have been using whole sign and I haven't even looked at the equal, but it makes sense now that you say that.
Kristen?
Yeah, Uranus in the ninth. I mean, especially through astrology, when it comes to your spirituality, it's a big piece of it. And Pluto in your fifth, it is the creativity, it's what you are wanting to do for, fun, or what is kind of lighting you up, any creative projects, as well as children. And when we look at that dance between the fifth and the sixth, it's what are you doing on the daily that is sustaining the creativity that you have? And what are you doing in your spirituality and your day to day that is then pursuing to the 10th, and how you're seen and how you're able to show up for people in that 10th house sort of way. And so I really love to combine that fifth, but being ruled by the sixth, and having that be that underlayer. But the fifth is really where Pluto is sitting. So this is a transition and an evolvement of what you do in your creative free time.
Okay.
Jamie's
Yeah, and
chart. Oh, go ahead. Go
well, I was
ahead,
just going to
Lisa.
say before you took away that triangle, because,
Oh, I can put it back.
we've been, yeah, put it back because we have been talking so much about this great pyramid, and here where you're talking, Jamie, about Pluto and Uranus, but then there's also that Saturn Neptune that is, I just can't ignore the fact that it is literally sitting right there on your North Node in Aries
Yes.
in the seventh house. And so I just feel like, especially since that conjunction is happening this week on Friday, I just feel like we should also bring that into the equation as well. That, everything relative to what Kristen just said, like what kinds of themes in your life, especially now, might be a little bit louder related to one-on-one relationships. The South Node there in Libra is in your first house. The North Node in Aries, Aries is pioneering, it's new, it's go, it's begin. Like, do you have something that you have in mind that you're beginning that could kind of tie into all of this?
I guess the only thing really, relationship wise, maybe.
Sure.
It is. I'm married, so we're not like a new relationship, but we have, I guess, hit a new beginning, so to say, in our marriage, where we were kind of on different paths for a while, and now I think we're flowing down the same path.
That's
And
awesome.
that was just recent, and it's been wonderful.
See, that's a
Yay.
But
have we not been talking about on the podcast that these are all positive
Yeah.
aspects? And what she just told us, because everybody's gloom and doom about Saturn and Neptune. Oh my God, the world's going to fall off its axis and we're all going to disappear into darkness, you know? And what she just said right there, because we got together and had a little session, the astrologers, and we talked about this. And I said, wow, we've got some seventh house stuff going on. And I said also that this is a call to some kind of new spiritual paradigm. And I mean, as you can tell, Jamie's chart, I mean, she has this big kite. She has this grand cross, this big square in here. I mean, she's got all this. I mean, it's like John Madden back in the football days, you know, we're going to run over here and then he's going to be, and they're going to hit him right here. You know, it's like,
That's how I feel my life is.
well, and with good reason. I mean, I saw that when I looked at this, I was like, holy cow.
But can I add on about the energy dynamic going on and leave the little triangle thing up there?
Okay.
So Jamie, one of the things, you know, all right, again, not an astrologer, so I'm like counting boxes. I'm like, okay, whatever. Okay, but one of the things that's coming to me, because I just kind of opened myself up to, and actually, could you put that picture back up?
Sure.
So we could, I just like talk about whatever comes into my head. And so when I look at your chart, especially in relationship to that pyramid thing, all of your energy is going into your third and fourth house, like being projected. And that's really where your focus is, like where your mental focus is. But that trine or that triangle thing, pyramid, is actually going into your Pluto. And so the message that I got was your focus is here and you need to be open to what's going on over there and what's going on right outside of my perception, because that's where the creativity is and that's where the movement is.
Okay.
Any questions for her on that, Jamie?
So essentially you're saying to move my focus elsewhere?
So you know how like you're looking out in front of you, but you see something weird in your peripheral vision?
Yes.
That's how it's going to come to you. It's like, well, this is my focus. It's like, well, wait a minute. I just saw a squirrel run by. Pay attention to the squirrel.
Squirrel.
You know, when COVID ended, the term new normal came up, right?
Mm.
There is no new normal with this. Uranus is in the house, you know? I mean, so what Dr. Rita was saying is and this is absolutely how to handle the pyramid, how to handle these changing times, is eyes wide open, peripheral vision fully aspected. That's exactly what this thing is showing. And for you, Jamie, that's looking like some new areas around spirituality. When we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, what my thought is that you might even open up to some kind of new something spiritually related that would be very fulfilling for you to do, that would extend beyond the borders of our country, international. Take on something that you could reach the world with.
That sounds nice.
It's in the chart.
I love that.
Now, let me show you something else here with this. Let me clear the slate. And you had asked about July. I wanted to show you something that structurally in your chart, I saw this today. So let's take your natal Pluto, first of all. That's right here, 7 degrees Scorpio. And Pluto in the sky in July will be at 4 degrees. So it's moving toward 7, and that's going to be a square. And then, let's see, what else was I looking at here? Oh, Jupiter will be moving over the summer, and it will get to 7 degrees Leo, and that's going to be a square. And then Saturn is kind of, in a way, not as much in this, because at 14 degrees, it still is going to be a while before it gets to 7 degrees of Taurus. But when it does, it's going to be in an opposition to that natal Pluto. Saturn will be. And that will be probably in 2027. But Neptune will be crawling its way towards 7 degrees. And that will be a quincunx. So you've got some challenging energy here that is shaping up in the chart. And then another thing that I want, let's see, mental picture with that. And here was the other thing I wanted to show you. This was from Ray Merriman's book on evolutionary astrology. It's chapter 16, and then it goes into 17 and 18, but chapter 16 is the main deal, where he talks about this Saturn cycle in our lives that starts when Saturn hits the IC down here. And it moves in this direction. And as it hits these midpoints between the IC and the descendant, that's that midpoint, the descendant and the midheaven, that's that midpoint, and then over here and over here. As you move through there, these become little crisis points of challenge of our commitment, basically. So you talked about this renewed spiritual perception or dynamic in your life. Well, that was kind of X marks the spot when Saturn was back down here, which would have been a couple of years ago when that originally seeded or germinated. Now you're up here. And by the way, Kristen's Saturn is right about here. So I thought you guys should team up on this. And kind of because you for the rest of your lives, your Saturns are going to be on the same trajectory. And you both are moving up in the sky, so your visibility is getting brighter. And and both of you are moving toward the midheaven, which what Ray says is when you get to here, when you get to the midheaven, the apprenticeship of all of this, these 15 years, is over. Now it's time to basically take your stand, a whole new you of your soul's transformation will appear, and you're working your way toward it. So you have some challenges coming up that are going to be forming over the next 18 months. But with those, and every one of them will be an opportunity to make massive transformations in your life.
Sounds exciting, but challenging.
Well, you didn't come here to play softball.
That's very true.
You go back to
Haven't
that.
I figured that out? My goodness.
Yeah, exactly. Elisa, Dr. Rita?
There was just one other thing I was going to bring up because she asked if there's any lower vibration expressions of the transit, just to kind of be on the lookout for. And that would be Pluto can be fear. Pluto can be obsession. So I would just say, you've got such good flowing energy here, especially relative to what you had just said, how you've got this new beginning with your husband, and that whole new flow. The only thing I would say relative to Pluto can take you down to dark places. Just don't let yourself go there. Keep your mind on the big picture of what you're moving towards, and don't let Pluto's obsession and potential for darkness derail you, because Pluto will let you go very, very deep, and in transformation. Pluto can actually be really, really good. Everybody's scared of Pluto, and myself included sometimes. And that's why, is because of that, obsessive compulsive piece of it. But just kind of have that in the rearview mirror. Don't let yourself go there.
Okay. Thank you.
And I'm going to add on to what Thomas, and I'm not quite sure who was talking, the other person talking, said. Is as you're moving through these transits and dealing with these challenges, So for you, I feel like one of the lower vibrating energies that you really are challenged with or fight with is self-doubt. And as you move through these squares and other things going on in your chart, you will eliminate your self-doubt. And the word that I wrote down was you'll become like Teflon, and somebody can say something or do something, but you will hold your inner strength and you will hold your autonomy because you'll know who you are and no one will be able to derail you from that position. So I think that's a very cool moving forward place.
Yes.
Yeah, that is. All of
Yeah.
us. Go ahead, please.
As a Virgo rising, it is hard not to be a perfectionist. And I see that in your chart, especially with the Sun, Mars, and Venus in your 12th. It can be a little hard to see just what you're fully capable of. And I think that Dr. Rita gave really good advice just to know that, you have this inner power that you could really work with. And especially when it comes to communication, when it comes to detail work, you're so good at that, and you have this special superpower. And when it comes to being seen and putting yourself out there and healing others, those are other really great things that you can bring to other people. And just making sure that you're fully aware of how you can take up space and help others.
Okay.
I had a couple of other thoughts that I just made as I was looking at your chart. First of all, as Kristen was just picking up on what she was just talking about, that Virgo action. One thing I noted was you didn't come here to have it easy, but it sure was worth it. It's like in the end, a personal devil on one shoulder and an angel on another. Came here to work out between those two.
I don't know if you're reading my mind, but I literally have my two personalities that I put on my shoulders all the time. They
Yeah,
fight.
yeah. Well, that's part of the battle that you came here to take on. You came here to wrestle through that. So,
And I do daily.
well, and why I came up with high timeline living and all of that was basically to say, in the middle of that daily battle, blink, choose the high timeline.
And that has been very helpful for me, just so you
Good.
know.
Good. Yeah, and this is all, I think, part of the upscaling that we can do. Is this is where things aren't going to be the same. But I mean, how many people have something that's just kind of pressed into their consciousness that says, choose the high side, pull up, devil, flick it off your shoulder for, till it crawls back. But that's, the very nature of what I saw in your chart was that. And so this, well, and even, you know where I got that? Here's the devil and here's the angel on your shoulder.
That makes sense.
And this being in the 12th house, that's always about completing things, wrapping things up. It's the 12th. We get to go around again. And so let's see what else I put on here. There's some other stuff.
There's a wonderful comment that says, from Holland T, it says, Pulse with the South Node is the first house. She came into this life knowing how to take care of yourself, and in this life is to focus on 7th partnerships. And, I think that that's a really good clock as well. The 7th house is what we are known to have taken care of in either parts of our past life or early in this one. And the North Node is what we're working towards. And for you, that is in the 7th house. And so relationships and building one-on-one for other people is a big part of this lifetime in general. And now to have the Saturn and Neptune conjunction sit on that North Node, this is a big karmic call for these next few months.
I really resonate with that. So thank you.
Yeah, that was very good. And that's what we all, when we met, we picked up on this whole thing around not only the relationships, we got about 5 minutes left here, but the whole everything else that the 7th represents, which of course we immediately go to relationships, but it's any kind of partnership. So that's a much broader extrusion. It also
Yes.
is, as Jamie mentioned, it's problems in the relationship. And it also, when we take that a step further, becomes war, disputes, conflicts of any kind are all housed in the 7th. We forget that. It can be war. And you know what happens when a partnership or a relationship goes south. It's war. It also is buying and selling and profiting for business. It's opportunities, lawsuits. If the war, legal action. It really, legal and lawsuits and the professions, the lawyers are housed in the 7th. It's also about thievery. So there's a lot in there that the 7th house encompasses. So all of that is kind of under the microscope of transformation here.
I do feel like right now, spiritually, I'm working on forgiveness for maybe not, yeah, I guess forgiveness. Working on forgiveness and working on forgiving people in the past, like family members and, just different people in my life. And so it kind of makes sense. All of it.
Yeah.
I be
Yeah.
working on relationships all the time.
And when you go back and, the squares where the challenges come from lands right there. So that's all tied together. It's tied together with Chiron up here, the wounded healer. It's tied to your moon, your emotions. I mean, it's just and then your sun. So it really, everything is connected here in that kind of way. Yeah.
And one more thing just to mention, because I always find it's interesting when you have Aries over in the 7th house, because Aries in the natural wheel is in the 1st house, and Aries is me, spoken like a true Aries sun. I know this energy very well. When it's in the 7th house like that, what you just said about, you're working on forgiveness and forgiving other people. When you forgive people, it's about you, and it's about how you feel and letting go of, things that need to be let go of. Right. And so whenever I see Aries in the 7th house like that, yes, that can even be even more so of the fighting, and whatnot, because like Thomas just said, you can have war, and Aries is ruled by Mars, and that can be war. But Aries is also how to be assertive and stand up for yourself and, what you do for yourself, especially within a relationship. So I think that that's just really a powerful thing to keep in mind, that with the North Node in Aries in the relationship house, it's just don't forget who you are and what you need in all of these relationships, as you're moving through, this whole story.
And I want to add in one piece to the whole forgiveness thing. Jamie, I get the impression that you are forgiving now and you're doing like a deep seated, I'm purging my soul kind of forgiveness. But if
Yes.
that person turns around and crosses you again, they are gone and forgiveness will not come again.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that North Node, even though it's in the 7th, it's being ruled by the 8th. And that is so much about the worth that other people give to you and the worth that you give to other people, that exchange of energy. And so I think that that Aries is powerful. So, and you have Jupiter in Aries too. It is retrograde, so there's an internal power there. So really kind of clock that in and know that you do have that strength.
Okay.
I'd said that Jamie's chart, you could do an 18-month study on this and not scratch the surface of the depth of this chart. I mean, really, seriously, this is, I'm going to come back to everybody here if you all don't mind. Jackie and Liz, do you have any thoughts on this?
I think your chart is beautiful, and
Thank you.
I'm kind of excited for you as you go through these challenges, but I know you're going to come out stronger. So kudos to that.
Thank you.
That's awesome. And thanks for the bravery of coming up here and appearing in public and letting us take a look inside. And, you know, as you say, and with astrology, when you put a chart up, you lose some of your privacy. So
That's okay. I've enjoyed this. Thank you all so much.
Oh, good. Glad you did. Dr. Rita, I wanted to show you one thing that was from a chat there in YouTube.
It's
And
Don. It's one of my peeps from Thursday Night Live. Hey, Don.
And we've got
Love
some other folks. Here was somebody from the Smokies. Yay.
Ooh.
I'll be itching to come up there here when it warms up just a little bit more. And hey, from Canada, from Montreal. That's awesome. I have a package I have to ship to Quebec tomorrow. So I'll be going to UPS. So I'm going to be sending something your way. That direction. Well, Jackie, it's time. So let's jump on here. And Jackie didn't have anything in particular. And actually, before we, before, all right, hold on here. All right, I'm going to hit all these buttons. Jamie's like, give me a break. Give me a break. There's the right one. But now that, you know, we're into it, anything come to mind that you'd like for us to focus on?
No, I would love to hear what you all have to say.
All right, well, let's jump into it. We've got another 25 minutes started. Here we go. And here is Jackie's chart. And just to kind of get a little bit oriented, a couple of features that stand out. First of all, this big aspect on Friday is happening right next to her sun and Mercury. So boom, right there it is. Pluto would be over here in about the middle of her 12th house. And Uranus is at, I put that in the wrong place. Uranus is, no.
Right.
Sorry. It's actually, yes, sorry. I'm disoriented. Uranus is right on her Jupiter. That's something worth talking about. And the other thing that the Jupiter in the sky is basically right here on the cusp of her 6th house. It's right at 16 degrees of Cancer. So about right there. So that's what we're dealing with. So her pyramid then would look like this. So that's bringing in her 4th house, home and family, basically, 12th, and then money areas, possessions, and what's valuable. Let's don't just pigeonhole it that money is all important. It's what is valuable in her life. And she was born just before a new moon, like a few hours probably before a new moon. So, and then opposite to Pluto there. So Pluto is at 13 and we're at 0. So that's a little bit wide, but Pluto is on the other side of the chart. Who wants to start?
Well, first, I really want to know what Saturn and your sun has been bringing for you for relationships, because with the 7th house being ruled by Leo, that is a big part of what this values of the second house transit can be. So relationship conversations, opportunity conversations, and with Mercury now going to be aspected next, this is that first part. So it's always nice to know where we've been so then we can know where we're going.
Yes. As far as relationships, I've been married to my husband for over 25 years. We have 2 grandchildren, so those are the new relationships in my life that I'm loving so much. I have a 2-year-old granddaughter and a 9-month-old grandson. And I'm lucky enough to still have my father around, so he's a great grandfather. So we're just trying to cherish as many family moments as we can.
Beautiful. I mean, Jupiter in the 5th, what a amazing time, and I'm sure you're enjoying every ounce of it.
Wow, that's really cool.
And kind of on the same, now I understand your timing, because I was looking at something different. I was looking at your sun and your moon together in the second house in Pisces. And it's funny when you said that you've got a grandchild that's 2 and then also a 9-month-old. I was just thinking, my gosh, the Virgo Pisces eclipses have been going on since September of 2024. This last 2-year period would be like the pregnancy and the birth of, your son or daughter with these babies. So, and talk about bringing new value into your life with the second house and probably some money too. I bet you're spoiling your grandchildren.
I'm trying not to too much, but that's not easy.
Yeah. Because I was going to ask about, what has been going on in that area of your life with the eclipses. I mean, eclipses will accelerate new beginnings and new endings. And gosh, what a whole new beginning for you as a grandparent.
Yes.
So, Jackie, I'm going to ask a question, and I just go with what they tell me. So I'm just going here. So at times, do you feel kind of schizophrenic? I mean, not like crazy schizophrenic, but schizophrenic nonetheless, where like you're going along and then you'll hit this, like, I'm going to say dark energy where you kind of go over there and have to like come back to the light. I call it bad brain, but where you hit these bad brain places. But
Oh,
it's
yes.
interesting. Okay, again, not an astrologer, but what I was flagging on was kind of that opposition to Pluto and your whatever node thing that is right there. and but sorry. But what I was feeling, well, but there's this whole cluster. I love looking at the dynamics between clusters of planets. But what I was feeling is when you go into that bad brain place, is that there's a lesson in there for you and there's an insight in there for you. And the message the communication they want me to give to you is stop being afraid of it. Sit there and love it and tend it and ask it what message it has, because that is trying to have like your subconscious come to the forefront for you to use. Sometimes it's painful. That's why I'm like, just try to love it best you can.
That sounds like a plan. I can definitely work on that.
Doesn't mean you have to all the time, but try. It definitely is something to work on, and it's all steps.
That's fair.
That's a really good observation and you landed right on it. Pluto opposite all of that action. We could redraw this in a way that here's Pluto and the North Node. That's our karma, right? That's our karmic destiny. But we could draw it almost like this, It's like everything that is the essence of your emotions, your identity, your mind, Venus is everything that we love. I mean, it rules this piece of real estate right here that we're in. So all of that. And then, of course, the wounded healer. Now, there's one other thing that I would throw in here is if we go from, let's go from Jupiter, and really, my goodness, we have to kind of encompass all of this. And then if we go up here to the node, then we have, and I mean, very widely, but very doably, we could even bring Pluto into that. And that's called a yod. That's the finger of God, the yod of fate, basically. So even to take what Dr. Rita said a step further, is that because this does encompass your very identity of those of us that were born near new moons, our emotions and who we are welded together in a way that the full moon babies with the moon on the other side of the chart are not. There's a separation there. And not either one right or wrong. It's just the phase of the moon that you were born in is one of, you were just before, your moon and my moon are really close together. And we come in with this detachment from reality in a sense. We can be in the other world and we can be in this world. And that's without, and you've got that also with Pisces anyway, but it's
Yes.
amplified with that new moon. So, yeah, and there is the, so let's stay with the yod here for a second, because this is a yod of transformation. This is a yod of massive personal transformation. And
Can I just throw one thing in, Thomas? It's just a one-liner.
yes,
But what you're being challenged with is to look at and address your fears. And that came through really clear. All right, I'm done.
well, Jackie, do you have any questions for her on that?
Yeah, any advice you can give me on facing my fears, I'm definitely opening to hear.
I mean, I used to be like a giant chicken. So I'm just going to tell you a very quick me story, giant chicken. And I finally got to where it's like I could stop and go, oh, I'm scared. And once I could acknowledge it, I could put it over there on a bookshelf and then move forward. But the key was to just go, oh, I'm scared, and recognize that emotion. Again, not an astrologer, but maybe having your moon and sun, and you guys can like correct me if I'm not right on this. Having your moon and sun so close together might interfere with that, maybe.
Oh,
I don't know.
definitely. In Pisces, sure.
How does that fear show up for you, Jackie?
I think for me, a lot of it has to do with expectations and not listening to my gut, and then getting very frustrated with myself because, oh, I knew better than that.
Okay, maybe we can fix that right here, right now. Okay, so the fear is not listening to that message. Well, first of all, because your sun and the moon are in Pisces, you have a duality there. Remember, there are 3 signs in the zodiac that are dual signs. Gemini is another, and Sagittarius, I've got my thing set where I'm running out of the margin right there. Half horse, half man, the twin, the symbol 2, and the 2 fish pulling apart from each other. So right there is that conflict that you guys have been talking about. But you have come in with this extra super intense radar perception. And not only that, but because Neptune was in retrograde in Sagittarius, I mean, that is a spiritual antenna on fire. And look, it's in a sextile. What is that? 16 and 13. It's in a sextile to Pluto. That even magnifies it with transformation as the theme. So one of the things right off the bat is you could just, from the time that we get finished with this, you could walk away from this session saying, wow, I'm a really powerful, intuitive radar for my spiritual path. If you choose to be.
And as I always say, you can choose to listen or you can choose to have the universe kick your ass. It's true. It's true.
Well, with Pluto across from your sun and your moon, I wouldn't ever want to not follow that intuition. It's like,
I know the second when I doubt it. Oh, I know it. I feel it immediately.
okay,
So-
well,
so-
go ahead. Who's there?
It's Elisa. I was
Hey.
just going to say, so from the astrology standpoint, I'm looking at the chart again because I have it up on another screen here. But yeah, go ahead. This is good. So whenever you have the yod, right, that's also known as the finger of God, and it has two what's called quincunxes, and together they form this finger of God because the two pieces of it, right? So your Pisces planets and then your Taurus Jupiter, it's in sextile. So basically that's astro speak for the way to move forward through that. A quincunx energy has to do with it's a stress aspect and it needs an adjustment, right? It's an adjusting energy. So looking at your Pisces, since that's your two lights, right? Your sun and your moon, that is like so much of the essence of who you are. It's obviously not all of it, right? But you've got so much wrapped up into that sun and the moon. And you spoke a lot about fear, and Pisces can absolutely be fear. But Pisces is also about faith. So if you could just adjust, kind of using that whole quincunx language to adjust your way out of the fear by leaning into the faith and trusting, the higher power, which truly lives within you with the way it's communicating there with Pisces, because Jupiter is on the other end of it, right? And Jupiter brings all of the expansion, it brings blessings, and in Taurus, it makes it in a grounded earthly sense. So if you think about it, where Pisces, you could just float off into the complete ethers, right? That's part of Pisces. You're half in this world, half in the next. Taurus there can, with the Jupiter and sextile, can keep you grounded. And so together, Taurus, think of Taurus as like your anchor, right? With its sextile to the sun and the moon. And then with them both in this adjusting energy to Pluto, I think you just kind of have to adjust and reframe the way you look at it, because if you can look at it as, yes, you can still be very grounded in this energy with all of the blessings that that Taurus is bringing you, that Jupiter is bringing you in Taurus, and then lean into that faith. Really, it's trust and faith in your own self, because you just said you're mad at yourself when you don't trust your gut. You've got to trust your gut and know that that's where your power is.
Yes, that makes 100% sense.
Kristen?
I think looking forward to these next 6 months, I mean, you have this third house that is Aries ruled, which makes me look at Mars. And Tuesday's solar eclipse is right there. And so when it comes to your self-talk and your intuition, this is going to be a great time to just kind of work on that. And I don't know if maybe part of it is you act first before you're thinking about it, and that might be part of it, just because with Aries in the third, that is very quick to communicate, maybe without necessarily thinking about, the repercussions of what you say. And sometimes, just kind of working through those dynamics and slowing down and letting that kind of be the focus of intuition first and kind of letting it sink in could really change things. And I think these next 6 months between eclipses are a wonderful time to work on that.
Good. Very good.
Here was another good comment. Don't be afraid to go deep with the communication transformation with the 8th and 9th house, and Libra naturally will help with the balancing. Have you listened to the stuff that I did on subconscious mind mastery around intuition?
Yes.
Okay. And, you know, on High Timeline Living in the audiobook tab, there are 3 books from Fred, at least. There's Intuition Training, the Intuitive Awareness Method. Because really, Dr. Rita, I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but my thought is, okay, so you know that I like totally shifted. The reason that I live my life the way that I do now is to stay plugged into the home office. And that's a personal choice, you know? I mean, I could go do all the things that could block that for fun, but I choose not to for the reason of I love that that channel is open, and I'm like, oh, please don't ever stop, you know? But the decision came that I think it's a 100%. Like when we get those instructions, like when Dr. Rita says what she just said, that's a spot on, take it to the bank. But then we bring it in and we argue with it.
Mm-hmm.
There's the Pisces. There's the 2 fish. This one wants to go this way. No, this one's stronger. No, this one's stronger. No, this one's stronger. It's like this, right? Like we were talking about with Jamie. It's like which shoulder has the getting the word in. So,
Yep.
So I just made the decision. Here's what I look at it. 90% factor for me. 10% of that is my interpretive error. But over time, you learn when that message is coming through, you know that's the message. When Dr. Rita cut in and she said, I'm going to give you this, fear, processing the fear, you knew that she had total confidence behind that message. She knew that was coming for you at exactly the point you needed, and it opened up this whole conversation. So
Can I add into this?
Please.
So on my show, my Thursday night live show, Just Energy Radio on YouTube, sorry, selfless plug.
No.
So one of the things that I talk about on there a lot is about listening to yourself. And so my basic commentary, and this is for the total beginner that knows they should be listening, but maybe aren't so much, is, and this is my really bad example. So you get up in the morning, you think, oh, I should take a sweater with me to work today. But you look outside, it's a nice sunny day, and you don't take the sweater, and you get to work and you freeze, you know, or the umbrella, or I should go this way. And when you don't listen to yourself, it's not a judgment thing about not listening to yourself. It's about recognizing, I got the message. This is how it came into me. And then I chose not to listen. Because after a while of you going, wait a minute, I got that message, and like I froze at work and I got rained on, I got stuck in a traffic jam, you know, you maybe start to decide, well, maybe I should listen to that, you know, and educate yourself to paying attention to that part and trusting it. I love the thing that they were talking to you about, the trust, because I feel like that's huge for you.
And that's typical of Pisces too. You know, that's not unfamiliar for a Pisces. In summer of 2013, little voice ringing in my ears, email Fred Dodson about narrating his audiobooks. You want fear? Fear is shuddering, thinking I might not have followed that prompt. It totally changed my whole life. And that's available. And when you know you're getting that message, if you're afraid, close your eyes, plug your nose, take 2 bounces on the end of the diving board and head first into the water. I would never, yeah. What Dr. Rita said, when I was in Aspen, there was a situation that happened that I thought about driving into town versus walking into town. The prompt was don't drive, walk. I drove. I should have walked. That was it. That's it. I'm never not listening to that again. Ever. So it was like we hit those points. And then when you start to follow it, it's like a magic carpet ride. Seriously. It's the ride of your life. So I hope that helps. Anybody else? Do you have any other questions? We've still got a couple of minutes. 2.
Has anybody figured out what I'm supposed to be when I grow up? Because I haven't.
Let's see. Your Pluto is 13 Libra. I'm a good bit older than you, and I still haven't figured out what I want to be when I grow up. You know what? That's a really good point. Because I think one of the things that's going to happen when all of this pyramid gets activated and really gets moving for us, like what Jamie said, she had a relationship transformation coming out of that 7th house. I think that is awesome. And I think all of us are going to have a lot more clarity. Here's one thing that we need on our side. We need this Jupiter to be direct motion. Right now, it's still going backwards. That's March 10th. Once we get that and it clears it, gets moving again. But Jupiter is really strong right now. And, Uranus is on your natal Jupiter. That's going to be some shake and bake kind of thing here at the end of Taurus. I'm going to talk about on the podcast tomorrow. All these later degrees, I tell what's there, so just listen tomorrow. But everything here in the later degrees are highly activated points. And look at how many you have. All of this stuff is, I'm going to say, in range of all of this action that's happening right now. All of it. So, like, you are getting set here. I'm call that radioactive, like a radioactive landfill. You drive across it in your car and everything lights up. Well, that's kind of what those points are in the chart right now. And I think that you are going to have a lot of zings and zags and blinks and all kinds of things coming up. So I think for all of us, it's almost like, don't worry right now. We're all going to get to a point where give it a couple of more months. And I know it seems like we've been waiting forever that, it's like, when are we, card decks, right? You draw a card and it says, oh, your bag of gold is right around the corner. It's like, what? Now I want it out there. But that's the thing, is just another 60 days, of just kind of in this limbo mode. And especially as we've been talking about on the podcast, February and March are like hunker down and just, kind of time. It's not the time to be initiating. And we want to go, go, go. But it's really these next 60 days are time to just be present, enjoy this show, pop a lot of popcorn, and then we'll be getting more. I don't know if you've been feeling it. Saturn moved into Aries on Friday. Have you been feeling a little bit more nudge, a little bit, since the last couple of days? I mean, I have. I'm like, whoa, 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 pony, pull back. I hope that was helpful. Jamie, Liz, you have any thoughts for Jackie?
The only thought I had was the Subconscious Mind Mastery podcast you just did, goes perfectly.
Oh, the one from last week? Yeah.
Yeah. The intuition.
Yeah, I'm excited for
That's what
Jackie.
stuck out to me.
Yeah, I'm excited for you, Jackie. I really struggle with connecting to my intuition. I've been in survival mode so much of my life that I've ignored my intuition. And now that things are a little calmer for me, I'm having to try to learn how to reconnect. So I'm excited for you. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So,
Jackie, keep your channel to the home office open and then just do it. Do it. Journal.
No fear.
And do it. Yeah, no fear. No. Remember Dr. Rita's words. Go back and listen to that on the replay and clip it, and that will help.
Thank you all very much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. That was great. That was really great. I hope you, coming in, not knowing exactly what you wanted, I hope that was beneficial. Okay, let's take a look here for Liz. She has 3 things. This is going to be a little different from what we've done before, now up till now. Will I have the means to pay off credit card debt in 2026? Now, watch the wording on this. Will I have the means to pay off credit card debt in 2026? Will my stepdad pass away in 2026? And will my health improve in 2026? Now, we have a medical intuitive, so I'm going to let her go on this, just turn her loose. But the one thing I wanted to talk about was number 2 for just a second. Will my stepdad pass away in 2026? Here's the thing, and Robert talked about this a lot on Old Soul News, so I hit the wrong button again. Sorry. I'm doing the best I can. Whenever it comes to death, couple of things. Well, first of all, whenever it comes to asking the chart questions, like the overarching rule, and I think this is absolutely the case, is you have to have a vested interest in the reason for asking. So the classic example, who will win the next election? That's not a direct correlation. You say, yes, it governs the country. No, it's not like that. It's anything can be a direct connection, but you have to have a stake in a horse in the race kind of thing. So with your stepdad, one question, and you don't have to answer this, but it's just one thing to keep in mind. We're going to show you the process here, but one thing to keep in mind is if you're a caregiver, I went out to California to help take care of the lady that I rented the house from in Aspen for 3 years. And that was a direct correlation. And Robert and I would take a look at that chart quite a bit from the standpoint that, yeah, it definitely, I had a daily connection there. I had a business deal there, in other words, in a way too. So there was a definite direct connection, even though we weren't related. So you have to figure that out. Is it like you've been distanced from him for 25 years and maybe this is it? They're reconciled. There's just all kinds of scenarios. If you're a caregiver, then that's a direct one-on-one. The other thing about death in general is I think, and this is just my own personal thought, others may feel differently, that death is not just a shutting down of the physical body. I think it's a body-soul decision that works together. And I use Yogananda's passing as a classic example of that. Here was a guy that came to do his work. He was trained in India. He brought yoga to the United States. He was on a governmental level. The ambassador of India had just changed. They were going to have a dinner in Los Angeles. They wanted him there to give a speech. He gave his speech. He had a pulmonary embolism, and he fell on the floor in the hotel. And that, to me, at 64, that to me is ultimate control over you. It was his exit, and he picked a big one to go, right, in front of a room full of diplomats. So I think that those windows of opportunity open frequently. Now, there are some definite symbols that we can look for in the chart, and we'll do that. But each of your questions was asking the chart something. So what we've constructed to start with for you is what's called a consultation chart. And let me get it queued up here. This is the chart that Evangeline Adams used. She was an astrologer. Y'all ladies would have loved her. She was back in the 19-teens and 20s. So over 100 years ago.
What was her name?
Evangeline Adams. Evangeline Adams. Her practice was in New York City, and her office was in the Carnegie Hall office tower. That's right. Adjacent across the street from Central Park in the 19 teens and 20s. And
Wow.
her partner, her husband, was quite a bit her junior, and he was her business manager, and he got her on
Oh.
ABC radio in the 19 teens, ABC radio, and she was adjacent to like Amos and Andy or some kind of one of those shows, one of those evening. She was on Tuesday nights. She did 30-minute consultations that cost $50. That's basically the equivalent of $2,000 today. And this is the only chart that she used for her 30-minute in-person only consultations, was this consultation chart. So what we do here is we put the chart up for the time that we started our collective session together, which is when the consultation officially began. And that's the inner chart. So this is the planets in the sky when we began tonight. And then you put the natal chart over that. So what it does is it syncs your planets to right now, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
So now what's governing this consultation is a Virgo rising. And then we can ask the questions of the chart that you had there, and we can use this like a horary chart.
Okay.
The one advantage of this is, number one, we can do 3 questions with this, which I think this is a lot better format than just casting a chart of the sky at the moment. The second is that you don't have the considerations before judgment. So in other words, we can address each question without restriction.
Okay.
So
like
that's
that.
why, yes, go ahead. Somebody have something? Okay. So let's go to your first question. This is a financial question about the means to pay off debt. Now,
Yes.
the way that we do this is, I'm going to give the simple way. We're not going to go into horary lessons here, but we identify in the chart what houses rule debts. And just from straight up good old Mark Edmund Jones or any other thing, we're talking about the 8th house rules debts, other people's money. In other words, you owe somebody money. That's other people owing them money. Then you come to the cusp of the opposite house. And here again is another classic example where equal houses just seems to work better with this technique. And what you do then is you find the ruling planets of both of these houses. So we're talking about Mars rules Aries, so it's over here. And now this is from your natal chart. Remember, we're just in your natal chart here. And
Okay.
Venus rules Libra. And then you look at how are they aspected? And do they have a Ptolemaic, in other words, one of the originals, conjunction, opposition, square, sextile, or trine? We don't go to the minor aspects. Do they make a Ptolemaic aspect? And I use about up to a 10-degree orb in doing that. And what we have here is, and the way you can kind of just look at this ballpark, because we don't have the signals and everything, is you can just literally just count over signs, or you can do the elements. We're third element over, but that is a square, which would indicate a no answer for 2026. Now,
Okay.
the other thing about this, though, and I think Elisa had a really good comment about this, or Kristen, when we were talking about this earlier, is that doesn't suggest, though, that you can't be developing a plan in 2026 and executing that plan. and working toward maybe perhaps 2027. That was one of the keys when you said in 2026. Notice it wasn't an open-ended
Yeah.
question of will I be able to eventually get out of debt.
Right.
You put it to this year. So what I would just bounce off of that, no, okay, little longer game than I thought. That means elbow grease, dig down more, put a better plan together, maybe even get some outside consultation on it if you're really serious about it, and roll up your sleeves and go to work.
Okay.
So then you start reading into the chart. Does anybody else have anything to add to that point? Then we'll go on to the next one.
Yeah, when it comes to debt being ruled by the eighth and looking at Mars, it's sitting in the 12th. And so it can be a little bit of a unconscious spending. It could be something that maybe you're not fully aware of until you've actually racked up the bill. When it comes to Leo as well, it could be maybe overextending some of the spending. But those would be kind of the things that I would kind of focus on, at least this next year, to kind of just work on that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm recently retired, and so learning how to manage my money on a retirement budget, and yeah, just having to pay a little more attention to my spending. So that makes total sense.
And Saturn is in the fifth here. Fifth would be frivolous or undocumented or unplanned spending. And with Saturn in the fifth, you could, more elbow grease to get the plan together. Perhaps some delays, perhaps unexpected expenses, but not to be worried about them, but just to be aware that that's an area that you have to take seriously and work hard. Saturn is all about working hard, right? It's about diligence pays off eventually. So
Watch that online spending.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Aquarius.
Aquarius.
Yeah.
Well, and
Good one,
I had
Kristen.
a lot of unplanned medical expense in 2025 as well. So that
Well,
kinda added.
and that's putting it into the, if you roll it into, like with Jamie's whole sign, if you roll it into the sixth house, there you go. Yeah.
But if you send the medical people $5 a month or $10 a month, it will keep them off your butt and maybe free up some money so that you can live like a human being and not just
Yes.
totally stressed out.
Yeah. Yep, I do. I have some payment plans for sure, but thank you.
Good.
All right. Good deal. Now, the next question, we're just going to go on with this, even though kind of with the disclaimer, and I'm going to leave my drawings up there because they apply. Will stepdad pass away in 2026? Same house axis.
So, along that, Thomas, I did want to add, I'm the executor of his estate, and I also am in charge of his medical decisions towards end of life. And so I see decline happening, and so it's causing a little bit of, stress anxiety for me as far as, am I going to be ready for this? So
Okay.
I do feel like I kind of have a vested
Oh, you
interest.
definitely do with that. Yes. No, that checks all the boxes for sure. So it's the same axis. Death is ruled by the eighth house. And so we have the same answer. We have a no answer to your direct question. Will he pass away in 2026? But I'm also going to qualify that by what I was saying is I think in this kind of context that I'm showing you the steps here, and you could even recreate this in the future. Robert and I looked at Mary's chart, I think, over about 3 different times, and it was obvious. He said back in the summer that this was not only somebody who was in the process of transitioning, but wanted to go. She was ready to go. She said otherwise, but her soul was ready, and the chart showed that. But it was over 3 different kinds of charts at 3 different times that this progressed. But you look to the 8th house. I mean, that's death. And one of the starting places, I guess, of when people want to look at this, whatever planet is on the cusp of the 8th can often indicate what manner of death it will be. So this indicates the head, the brain, also the cardiovascular system. Aquarius also is in on that, and the sun is in on that. But Aries, it could be a stroke, it could be venous insufficiencies. You know, the kind of thing that the people are pointing out with Donald Trump with his basically venous flow, and that's retaining the water and why the ankles are so swollen and everything. That's what I dealt with in California. It was the same thing. So that could be eventually, but as best we can tell, this chart is saying, yeah, not yet.
Okay.
So can I like put in my 2 cents here? And you could take the chart down because I'm not going to talk about that at all. So this is just my perspective, is that I don't predict the future. And I've had a lot of people go, well, when's so-and-so going to die? And I'm like, can't tell you. But where I will actually put my 2 cents in is what I've seen over and over. And I used to call myself the angel of death because people would come to me to do energy work on a loved one and then they would die within a week. It's like, yay. When I look at your stepdad, he has not decided to go yet. And once he makes that decision, usually it's about a 2-week window when they will transition. But when I look at him, his energy, his life force energy is just declining. You know, and either he will like have something sudden, like a heart attack or a stroke that'll just take him out, or it'll just be a very peaceful transition. But what they're suggesting to me to suggest to you is there are things that you can do to kind of pre-plan what's going to happen and kind of have an organization in your mind. Okay, so I'm not going to say like on this date, but I don't think he's going to make it through 2026. I'm kind of feeling like maybe next fall.
Okay.
But his energy is just getting weaker and weaker and weaker. It could be before that. But when I sit there and look calendar year, I do not see him in 2027. So I'm going to base it on that. I do not see him here in 2027.
Okay. Yeah, that's been really helpful because, one of his fears is ending up in a nursing home, sitting in a wheelchair. And so I'm trying to work through things with him as far as like home health care and, just that he can stay in his home. And I don't live super close to him. I'm about 3 hours away. And so, just so what you added was very helpful. Thank you.
But it just seems interesting because if I go back in time, like 2 years, he just seemed like he had a lot of vitality. So I don't know what's happened in that 2-year period for him to just kind of take a dive. And you don't have to answer because we're definitely on a clock here, but
okay. Yeah. I'm not sure either. Yeah.
We have plenty of time. We're doing fine. Dr. Rita, do you want to, while we're at it, that's right up your alley, number 3.
Sure.
I think you're kind of good at this.
When it comes to like doing stuff on air, I usually try to avoid help because I'm really blunt with things. So, Liz, so I love you already, but I get the impression that you want your health to improve, but you're not really doing anything to improve
it. I think you're spot on.
So it's kind of like, okay.
I'm like halfway in, I guess, but not total.
Well, I just get that there, I mean, it's kind of interesting. Your energy is kind of interesting because I'm feeling like everything seems like an effort right now. Day to day living, cleaning this, doing laundry. God forbid I have to exercise, throw that on top of that pile, and
I do enjoy going and walking, but I have dogs, so they pretty much insist that we
Mhm.
go walk.
But that's good. That's exercise. But I mean, but the whole diet thing, I mean, dealing with your father-in-law, not stepfather-in-law, just adds to your stress level. And you're not really doing anything really for yourself other than feeling overworked and overburdened. So, maybe finding something you can do for yourself, take a bath. I mean, to me, when I need like some me time, I go to Starbucks. That's my thing. I go buy myself a Starbucks and it makes me smile. I don't know. So, I mean, that would be my thought for you. I mean, are you dying in 2026? No. Ooh, oh, one thing I am going to suggest, and this is going to be very specifically, go on Amazon, look up adrenal support. So, like your adrenal
Okay.
glands that sit back there, look up adrenal support and start taking like a good vitamin and adrenal support. And those two things would be, in my opinion, like the minimal. I mean, you just seem burned out. And so the adrenal support will kind of clear that. And they
Okay.
take a long time to really work, so minimally before you sit there and go, she didn't know what she was talking about. Plan on taking them for at least 6 months.
Okay.
Okay. I'm done.
Thank you.
You're
Well,
welcome.
that's interesting because in her chart, when we look at the 8th, Cancer has an overlap into the adrenal area, exactly what you were talking about. Here was another thing that I wanted to just point out, and then I'm going to open this up to Kristen and Elisa. That, let me get my trigger here. Just to your health question. So here's the transformational pyramid, and here is Uranus of suddenness, of surprises, of quick results. And remember, Jamie let us off that good things were happening in her life from this configuration in her chart. And this is the area of health in the chart. You've got the moon in there. That's good. That if you would take these steps and do the hard work, Saturn and Pluto on top of it, with this power coming from Aries, that you could make some pretty remarkable and dramatic improvements. In other words, if you'll do the work, the universe will be there to carry the load.
Okay. Good to know.
But I'd like to hear
Yeah.
from Elisa and Kristen.
One thing, and this is kind of totally off topic. No, it's not totally off topic. It's all related, I promise. But I noticed the back, and when we're looking at Liz in the screen, I noticed there's horses in the picture, in the behind you, Liz, where you're sitting, and
Yes.
you have a Sagittarius sun,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
that's horses. Sagittarius is I mean, one, it's the centaur, right? Half man, half horse. But it's also, I mean, Sagittarius is large animals as well. So do you have horses? I mean, I almost think what was really screaming to me about everything you were saying and what Dr. Rita said, and even looking at that same configuration Thomas was talking about in the chart, is that stress is breaking you right now, in my opinion, and relative to your health. And you need to do something fun. And I see Sagittarius, you're just such a free spirit. You need adventure, you need expansion, and I see those horses, and you talked about your dogs, but what's the story with the horses? Could you go really be adventurous, and take up a new day-to-day hobby, new routines for your health? I mean, because the hobby or day-to-day routines and habits, that's also sixth house where Uranus is. Do something new.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things there. I've had horses in the past. I don't have them now, but I did come across a Facebook post of a person locally that's offering horseback riding. And so I saved that. That really caught my attention. And then also, my husband got me a new electric bike for my birthday, and I really enjoy riding bikes. And but because of the surgery I had in 2025 that caused a hernia, so there was another surgery the first part of the year, and so I'm just now getting to where I can. I'm past the 6 weeks and can start riding that bike. So I am thinking about this stuff and trying to get some
Yeah.
plans and going.
Yeah, you just need to be free. You need to get out of everything that's bogging you down. And then once you get into that mindset, because that's so important to Sagittarius, is the freedom. And you also have your Mercury in Sagittarius, and with Gemini there, where with Uranus coming in, I mean, that's a Mercury ruled sign. I mean, I think that if you can get yourself out and be free of these things that you have on your mind weighing you down, you're going to feel like you are capable of taking these steps that you need to for your health.
Okay. Makes sense.
Good. Kristen?
Yeah, I want to reiterate the whole have fun thing. Honestly, I think that is a big part of this. You have this Saturn Neptune conjunction that is happening very close to your IC, and this is a come to Jesus moment. And you have this stress that is just kind of taking up space, and you're giving it more energy than it really needs. And so I think that if you are able to put yourself first for this year, it really will make a huge difference.
I am so glad you brought that up, Kristen. It wasn't on my radar. Liz, this technique that I mentioned to Jamie is in Ray Merriman. I did the audiobook, Evolutionary Astrology, and it's written so that you don't need a chart. I mean, it's kind of like Steve Forrest's books in that regard, and it's all about the soul's journey through the lens of the chart. And it's brilliant for a guy that was probably about 25 or 27 when he wrote it. I mean, Ray, I've come to realize he's a higher being that just came down and is giving us stuff. But chapter 16 is the chapter that describes this technique. And your Saturn is sitting right, as Kristen said, it's going to be right on your IC, which, as Ray says, that begins the next 29-year cycle around. So you've got 15 years where it's moving up, 15 years basically where it comes back down. And as he describes, it's this crisis of faith where we decide, are we going to take on a whole new dimension of our soul's path? And you know, probably from the podcast, one of my favorite sayings, we are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are
Spiritual beings having a human experience.
Well, this is the beginning of another spiritual loop around. So you're in this golden, absolute, perfect time. And that book is available on their website, MMA Cycles, but it's also, I put a direct link on High Timeline Living up at the top. It's
Okay.
Yeah, it's up there. And that's the audiobook. And it also, I think they send a PDF with it. But the book is also available from Merriman. So when you get in there, my website just links you to theirs. So when you get in there, you could take a look at that. But oh my, because this whole cycle is ahead of you, I would absolutely get it for that chapter alone, because it is going to be your next. I mean, think about from what you've got now for even 15 years. This is the most exciting part of the whole path. And every one of these is about 2.5, 3 years apart. So you're coming all the way up here until it hits your midheaven. That is going to be, especially with all that's going on with the Great Pyramid, the ride of your life in retirement. Yes, in retirement, especially in retirement. So I would absolutely get that book and go. I would, serious, it's standalone. Go straight to chapter 16. Then you can come back and take a running go at it. But I would go to 16 and get in mind what he's talking about and know that your Saturn is right here at the IC at the beginning of that cycle. And it's going to be, I mean, then you'll be able to follow it through as you go around these different points. Be a great resource to have.
Well, I'm excited.
Well, it's your journey. I mean, it really, and I went back, of course, you know, when I was narrating the book, and I had to stop because I had to put a chart up and like, okay, and went back in all the years, and even to the, I'm going to stop this because when we get through, we'll be done. What mine was, the last loop, my Saturn was at the IC at my second divorce when all of the stuff that you've heard about in Subconscious Mind Mastery started right there.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
And every one of those midpoints, I went back and I put Saturn in and found where it was and noted the date, and some of them would retrograde back and then back over. Every one of them was a pivot point.
Well, now I'm probably going to be up all night.
Yeah, get it now. You can have it. I mean, it'll be in your account. It's an instant thing. So there you go. You can't sleep. You can do that. How about Jackie and Jamie? Do you have any thoughts for Liz?
The only thing that I had thought is when she mentioned horses, I had a friend that does horse therapy. And then you said you saw that Facebook post, and I was like, ding.
That's awesome. That's great. We have Dr. Rita. I wanted you to see this.
Okay.
Yes,
I have fans.
she does for sure.
Liz, for you, do Tai Chi.
Oh, okay.
And then fourth is home, start at home. That's for you too, Liz.
Huh. I love my home right now. It's
Good.
just
Good.
an
That's
awesome
great.
place.
And when you guys go back and watch the replay on this, check out the comments too, because there have been some good comments in there that we weren't able to work out, but worked out good. Hey, we are like 2 minutes over 90 minutes, so this is timed out really well. So thank you all very much. This has been great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And for all of you
Yes.
who have stopped in and stopped by and made comments, thank you. And I think there's probably a consensus that we like doing this, and that we'll cook up some more of these in the weeks and months ahead. We're going to not do anything until at least Jupiter is going the other way. So but after that and beyond. Dr. Rita, thank you for giving us your time tonight for this as well.
Thank you.
I had so much fun. So thanks for having me. Even though I don't know anything about astrology or enough to just get me in trouble.
I think you're great. All right, we'll say goodnight on the YouTube, and you guys can hang here for a second. We can talk for just a minute more, and then we will call it a night. Thank you all for joining us.